My name is Claire Hartwell. I'm 31 years old. I'm a graphic designer. I live in a two-bedroom apartment with my rescue dog, Biscuit, and until 8 months ago, I genuinely believed that family, even a difficult one, was worth fighting for. I was not invited to my sister's wedding. Let that sink in. I'm not talking about a distant cousin who barely knew the bride. I'm talking about her only sibling, the person who helped her pick her first prom dress, who drove 3 hours in a snowstorm to sit with her when she had her appendix out, who lent her $4,000 when she was between jobs, money she never paid back.
I am talking about me.
And I only found out I wasn't on the guest list when a mutual friend texted me the morning of the ceremony with, "So sorry you couldn't make it. She looks beautiful." I stood in my kitchen holding my phone, Biscuit pressing his warm side against my leg, and I felt something crack open in my chest. Not quite grief. Not quite rage. Something colder. Something that said, "This is it. This is the last time." But here's what I didn't know yet. I didn't know that 4 days later, I would be watching security footage that would change everything. Footage of my sister's brand new husband, in his tuxedo, hours before the wedding, walking past my apartment building, spotting Biscuit tied outside the front door while I ran back up for my keys, and deliberately, casually, leaning over and spitting directly on my dog. And I didn't know that 6 weeks after that, every single person at that wedding would know exactly who they'd celebrated. This is the story of how I stopped making excuses for my family and how the truth finally did what I never could. It set me free. Growing up, our household had a very clear organizational chart. At the top, my parents, Richard and Sandra Hartwell. Dad was an operations manager for a regional logistics company, steady and conflict avoidant to the point of paralysis. Mom was the architect of our family's emotional landscape, which is a polite way of saying she decided who got love, when and on what conditions. Below them, my sister, Vanessa. 4 years younger than me, sharp-featured, ambitious, magnetic in the way that certain people are when they've learned early that charm is currency. Vanessa was the kind of kid who could do wrong and make you feel like you'd misunderstood the situation. She cried beautifully. She apologized in a way that made you want to comfort her. My mother adored her with a fierceness that left no room for ambiguity. And then me. I was the easy one. That's what they called it. Claire is so easy. Claire doesn't need much. Claire will understand. Somewhere around age 10, I realized that easy was just another word for useful. I helped around the house while Vanessa had dance classes. I got a part-time job at 16 to pay for my own school supplies while Vanessa's extracurriculars were fully funded. When I got into a good design program 2 states away, my mother's primary reaction was, "Well, at least we won't have to worry about you." No congratulations. No party. No proud Facebook post. Vanessa's acceptance to a local community college, 2 years later, earned a catered dinner. I told myself this was just the way families were sometimes. Uneven. Imperfect. I made peace with it, or thought I did. Then Vanessa met Derek Paulson. Derek was 36 to her 26 when they started dating. He'd been married once before. He had a well-groomed LinkedIn profile, an expensive watch, and the practiced warmth of someone who has learned that making people feel special is a useful skill. My parents loved him immediately. My mother, in particular, lit up around him in a way I found slightly unsettling. He had opinions about wine. He knew how to shake a father's hand. I tried to like Derek. I did. But there was something in the way he looked at people when they weren't performing for him, a flatness, a mild contempt, that I couldn't shake. And there was the way he looked at me specifically, as though I were furniture. Necessary, perhaps, but not worth engaging. I said nothing. Because in our family, I was the easy one. The first sign that something was truly wrong came at Christmas, 2 years before the wedding. Our whole family was at my parents' house. Derek was already treating the place like his own domain, refilling his own drink without asking, redirecting conversations, making small editorial comments about my mother's cooking that she laughed off like compliments. At dinner, I mentioned a design project I was proud of, a brand identity campaign for a local nonprofit. "That's cute," Derek said. Not meanly, just dismissively. The way you might say it about a child's finger painting. Vanessa didn't correct him. Mom changed the subject. I sat with that word, cute, for the whole drive home. The second incident was the summer before their engagement. Vanessa had borrowed $4,000 from me 18 months earlier. She'd been between jobs, said she needed it for rent, promised she'd pay it back within 6 months. She never did. When I finally, gently, brought it up during a phone call, she went quiet and then said Derek thought it was strange that I was bringing up money between sisters. He thinks you're making it transactional, she said. I couldn't breathe. Vanessa. $4,000. I know, Claire. But maybe just let it go? We're family. There it was. We're family. The magic phrase that, in our household, meant absorb this, accept it, and don't make it uncomfortable for the person who wronged you. I let it go. I hate that I let it go. Third incident, the engagement party. Vanessa and Derek announced their engagement in the spring, and the celebration was held at my parents' house. I drove down, brought flowers and a nice bottle of wine, and arrived to discover that Vanessa had told everyone I was bringing the dessert for 40 people. No heads up, no ask, just an assumption. When I said I didn't know about this, my mother looked at me like I'd done something embarrassing. Claire, it's not a big deal. Just run to the grocery store. I ran to the grocery store. I bought 2 sheet cakes. I came back and set them out and watched Derek eat a piece without acknowledging they existed. At the end of the night, Vanessa hugged me and whispered, "Thank you for being so flexible." Flexible. There was that word again, right next to easy. The fourth incident was the one that should have broken me, but instead, somehow, I swallowed it whole. 3 months before the wedding, Vanessa called to talk seating arrangements. I asked, casually, what my role would be. Bridesmaid? Reader? I didn't have expectations. I just wanted to know where to show up. There was a pause. We're keeping the bridal party really small, she said. Just Derek's sister and my 2 friends from college. It's more intimate that way. Okay, I said. So, guest list? Do you need my address or? I'll keep you posted, she said. She never posted. The morning of my sister's wedding, I woke up not knowing it was her wedding day. That is how thoroughly I had been erased from the event. No save the date. No invitation. No call, no text, no, hey, I wanted to explain. Nothing. I found out because our mutual friend Priya, assuming I must have known and just couldn't attend, texted me a photo of Vanessa coming down the aisle. She looks stunning. So sorry you couldn't be there. Travel too hard. I sat down on my kitchen floor. Biscuit climbed into my lap, all 15 pounds of him, and licked my chin. I didn't cry right away. I just sat there and thought, with remarkable clarity. She planned this. This wasn't an oversight. She looked at a guest list and thought about me and made a choice. I thought about the $4,000. I thought about the sheet cakes. I thought about cute. I thought about all the Christmases I'd made easy, all the phone calls I'd absorbed, all the patience I'd performed. And then I called my mother. Did you know I wasn't invited? I asked. A pause. Sweetheart, it was a small wedding. Mom, did you know? Another pause. Vanessa and Derek wanted to keep it intimate. And no one thought to tell me. We didn't want to hurt your feelings. I almost laughed. I almost laughed so hard I would have had to hang up. They didn't want to hurt my feelings, so they excluded me from my sister's wedding and said nothing, and let me find out via a text from Priya with a picture of Vanessa's veil. I have to go, I said. I hung up. I sat with Biscuit. And something in me went very, very quiet, the kind of quiet that comes not from giving up, but from finally deciding. No more. I didn't do anything rash. That's the thing people might not expect. I didn't call Vanessa screaming. I didn't post anything. I just got still. And it was in that stillness that everything began to unravel for them. For days after the wedding, my downstairs neighbor, an older gentleman named Mr. Okafor, knocked on my door. He had a slightly uncomfortable expression, the look of someone delivering news they're not sure how to frame. I wanted to show you something, he said, from the building camera. I think you should see it. Our building has a small exterior security camera mounted above the entrance. The landlord installed it after a bike theft incident 2 years back. Mr. Okafor manages the building part-time and had access to the footage. He'd been reviewing it for an unrelated reason and had seen something that troubled him. He pulled it up on his phone and handed it to me. The footage was time-stamped the morning of the wedding. The image quality wasn't perfect, but it was clear enough. A man in a charcoal tuxedo. Derek. Unmistakably Derek. I recognized the build and the walk. Passed by the building entrance. Biscuit was tied to the railing, waiting for me. I'd run back upstairs for my keys, maybe 90 seconds. Derek stopped. He looked at Biscuit. Then he leaned over, slowly and deliberately, and spat directly on my dog. Not a startled reaction. Not an accident. Slowly. Deliberately. Then he straightened up, smoothed his jacket, and kept walking. I watched it 3 times. My hands were completely steady. That surprised me. Can you send this to me? I asked Mr. Okafor.
Already did, he said.
I sat with that footage for a long time. I thought about what to do with it. I could post it immediately. I knew what it would do. Biscuit is well known to our neighbors. People love him. The optics were devastating. But I wanted to be thoughtful. I wanted to be smart. So I reached out to Priya. She texted me from the wedding in good faith. She clearly hadn't known I was excluded intentionally, and when I told her the full story, no invitation, no notice, and then showed her the footage, her silence on the phone lasted a long time. Claire, she finally said. He spat on Biscuit. He spat on Biscuit. And she married him. She married him.
Priya was my first ally.
She had been at that wedding. She knew every person in that room. And she was furious in the clean, useful way that a good friend is furious on your behalf. We made a plan. Not a cruel plan. Not a dramatic, orchestrated destruction. Just the truth shared with the right people at the right time. The first thing I did was handle myself. I called my parents and told them, calmly, that I would be taking a step back from the family for a while. I didn't shout. I didn't send a long email cataloging every grievance. I just said, I wasn't invited to my sister's wedding. I found out from a mutual friend. I need some space to process that, and I won't be available for family functions for the foreseeable future. My mother tried to interrupt. I said, I'm not asking for a discussion. I'm telling you what I'm doing. I hung up. Then I dealt with the money. I'd been soft about the $4,000 because I didn't want conflict. That softness was finished. I sent Vanessa a formal written request, not a text, a letter, sent via email with a red receipt, itemizing the loan, the date, and requesting repayment within 30 days. I CC'd no one. I gave her the opportunity to do the right thing privately. She did not respond for 2 weeks. When she finally did, it was a 2-line text. Derek says we don't owe you anything, and you should think carefully about burning bridges right now. I screenshot that. I added it to my file. And then, on a quiet Wednesday evening, I posted the security footage. I didn't add a lot of text. I didn't write an essay. I just wrote. 4 days before my sister's wedding. The wedding I wasn't invited to, her groom walked past my apartment building and did this to my dog, Biscuit. I thought people should know who they're celebrating. I tagged nothing. I added no names. I didn't have to. Priya shared it. 2 of her friends shared it. By the next morning, it had been picked up by 3 local Facebook community groups. By that evening, a regional news aggregator had shared it. By the following morning, Derek's full name was in the comments, not from me, from people who recognized him. My phone started ringing at 7:45 in the morning, 2 days after the post. Vanessa. I let it ring. She called 4 more times. Then my mother called. Then my father, which was notable. Dad almost never called anyone. I let them all go to voicemail. Then Vanessa texted. We need to talk. This is insane. You're destroying our lives over nothing. Over nothing. I called her back. She answered on the first ring, and her voice was tight with a specific kind of controlled fury that sounds almost like calm unless you've known someone your whole life. Claire, you need to take that down. Hi, Vanessa. I'm serious. Derek is getting calls. His employer has seen it. You have no idea what you've done. I shared a video of something that happened. I said, that's all. You deliberately tried to humiliate us right after our wedding. You didn't invite me to your wedding.
Silence.
You didn't invite me, I said again, and my voice didn't shake, which I was proud of. You planned an entire wedding, you looked at a guest list, and you left me off it. Your only sister. And then no one told me. I found out from Priya. It was intimate. Vanessa. Stop. I'm not asking for an explanation. I'm just saying it out loud so you can hear what it sounds like. Another pause. When she came back, the fury had shifted slightly. Derek didn't do anything wrong. He doesn't like dogs. He probably reacted to it jumping at him. Biscuit was tied to a railing. He didn't move. And Derek was in a tuxedo walking to your wedding venue. He saw my dog, and he spat on him. It's on camera. The timestamp is on the morning of your wedding. There is nothing to interpret. You don't know what was going on with him that day. I don't care what was going on with him that day. That came out with more edge than I intended, but I didn't soften it. It's not a justification. It's not a context that changes things. A grown man in a tuxedo spat on a leash dog. She tried a different angle. Mom is devastated. Dad can't sleep. You're tearing this family apart over a video. And this is the moment I want to be honest about because I felt it. I felt the old pull. The ease. The urge to say I didn't mean for it to go this far. Let's figure this out. 20+ years of being the easy one doesn't disappear overnight. It sat right there, in my chest like a reflex. But I thought about Biscuit. I thought about $4,000 and sheet cakes and the word cute. I thought about sitting on my kitchen floor on the morning of her wedding. I didn't tear anything apart, I said quietly. I shared something true. Derek did something cruel. You excluded me without a word. I just stopped being quiet about it. So that's it? You're done with us? I'm done absorbing things that hurt me and pretending they don't. If that means I'm done with the family as it currently operates, then yes. That's where we are. She started to cry. And I need to be honest, it was her real cry, not her performed one. I could tell the difference. Part of me wanted to reach toward it. Part of me loved her, still, underneath everything. I didn't think you'd care this much, she finally said, very quietly. About the wedding. I know, I said. That's the problem. I let that sit for a moment. Then, pay back the $4,000, Vanessa. After that, I don't need anything else from you. I hung up. I sat in my apartment for a long time after that. Biscuit put his head on my knee. Outside my window, the city made its ordinary sounds. And I felt, underneath the sadness, underneath the grief of it, something that was unmistakably, undeniably relief. The video stayed up. I wasn't going to take it down. Within 2 weeks, the consequences for Derek were significant and, I'll say it, proportionate. His employer, he worked in client-facing sales for a mid-sized commercial real estate firm, had received multiple forwarded copies of the footage from clients and colleagues. He wasn't fired, but he was moved off client relations into an internal role. A demotion. Functionally. He lost his bonus structure. His own mother called Priya's mother, apparently, asking if there was any context that could explain it. There wasn't. Vanessa's friend group, the 2 college friends who'd been her bridesmaids, both went quiet on her. One of them had a dog she talked about constantly. The video for those people wasn't abstract. It was visceral. As for the $4,000, she paid it back. Not as an act of contrition, I think, but because my written request had been formal enough that Derek apparently told her it could become a small claims issue and he didn't want more attention on them. The transfer arrived in my account 33 days after my letter. No note. My parents called several more times over the following months. My mother oscillated between guilt-tripping, "You've broken this family," and a kind of bewildered hurt that I think was genuine. My father left one voicemail that surprised me. He said, quietly, that he understood why I was angry and that he was sorry he hadn't spoken up more. It was the most honest thing I'd heard from him in years. I called him back. We've had a few cautious conversations since. I'm not sure where that goes, but I'm leaving the door a little open. With Vanessa, there has been no real reconciliation. She reached out at the 6-month mark with a long message that contained several apologies and several justifications in roughly equal measure. I read it twice. I'm still thinking about what, if anything, I want to say back. It has been 8 months now. I'm still in my apartment. Biscuit is fine. Healthy, happy, blissfully unaware of his brief moment of internet infamy, though he did receive several packages of treats from strangers who'd seen the video, which he accepted with great dignity. I've been in therapy since the month after the wedding. Not because I'm broken, but because I finally decided I was worth the investment. Turns out a lifetime of being the easy one leaves some things to unpack. I've also rebuilt. My creative work is going well. I took on a new client last quarter that's become my biggest account. Priya and I are closer than we've ever been. I've made room for people who treat me like I matter, and I've noticed, with some amazement, how much lighter everything feels when that's your baseline. Here's what I know now that I didn't know then. Being easy is not a virtue if it comes at the cost of yourself. Keeping the peace is not the same as having peace. And the people who benefit most from your silence will always call it something else, flexible, independent, dramatic, to keep you in your place. I don't regret sharing that video. Some people ask me if I felt bad about the professional consequences for Derek, and I want to be clear, no. He spat on my dog. He did it casually, like it was nothing, like Biscuit's smallness and inability to report it made it consequence-free.
He was wrong about that.
And I don't regret stepping back from a family that planned a wedding around my absence and hoped I wouldn't notice. Or worse, hoped that even if I did, I'd be easy about it. I wasn't invited to my sister's wedding, but I was finally, at 31 years old, invited to my own life. And I showed up.